Oh yeah, today we're going to talk about what it takes to pay the bills. That's right, my grueling indigents. Today we're talking about mad skills. This video will be a little different than the majority of the videos I do. Mostly I talk about the sinew, the flesh. I talk about the muscle. Today we're talking about the skeletal structure, the mechanics. Now a lot of you know that I'm working on a role-playing game, and there are a lot of choices that the design inflicts upon the play style. Whether you're trying to have a dungeon crawl, where you're keeping track of every small little aspect of space, and you want to measure that out on the combat hex grid, a game where you're hack and slashing, whether you want to play a game where you can have it done in a heartbeat in terms of the preparation style with a fast play, whether you want to have a beer and pretzels game, or you want to have a deep immersive game. Of course, anyone who's watched a few of my videos knows exactly what camp I'm in. You know exactly what you're going to be expecting from me in terms of game and my design. Every choice impacts that deep immersive style to help people get there to a level like no other. Now, when you're talking about these designs, I'm going to be breaking down in a few videos the different components from a game designer standpoint and how they can affect play. Now let's talk today about skills. That's right. We're going to be talking about broad skills versus tight skills, and then some sub-components of that. Now with broad skills, you have a skill like artist, which encompasses everything you might find in high school art class. But if you go higher, obviously, at increasing levels, or lower levels if you're not particularly good, and that's of course your choice, and that's great to have characters that are I barely know how to do it versus the master. Now we're talking about tight skills. Now tight skills, where you have artist over here, right? You know how to do all of it. Well, this you have painting, you have sculpting, you have drawing. Now with a tight skill, there's pros and cons of both styles, and you might like both. You might say, I love them both. That makes the games different. I like that, and that's certainly wonderful. And this is not a video where I'm going to come and just boom, drop the hammer down. We're using the screwdrivers, we're using the tweezers. You're actually going to see I have a few other tools in the chest. That is, as I start just break out the hammer, but not Greg the Hammer because he sucks. But we're going to be talking about. Let's talk about tight skills. So, all right. So I'm having too much fun here. Now I will never apologize for that. So, with tight skills, you're going to have that drawing and that painting and that sculpting. You have one of the great benefits of it is you can say, okay, you can make the character exactly as you see them. Wonderful. One of the great drawbacks. All right, it's going to take 19 hours to make your character. No, I don't mean in terms of the philosophy, the thought, the psychology, the emotions, what you're bringing out of this character, the role playing. No, I'm talking about going through the points. And this is very, very exhausting for both player and game master, and eats away at that beautiful, ethereal game energy that does well exist out there. It's just like playing Mage Ascension, man. It's paradox up, eating your arete away. And I like to have that arete high. So, for me, particularly when you're learning a new game, there's a big problem when you're learning this tight game. And it's going to have other choices that are along the same lines. It's going to have everything. So skills are just at the beginning. With the skills, you're really going to have to choose carefully, because you can end up, you got the concept, right? You want to make it perfect. But if the points don't come out perfectly to what you want, it's generally people go high, but you can go low too, and like, oh, he gets other stuff I don't really need, or don't really see him having, but I guess he knows pop culture trivia now. Okay, I can live with that, I guess. But the other way around, you might be like, he's a great painter. Now you have more in the concept than I am a great painter, but being a great painter is part of a full package of your character. You submit that. But you came out, say, 14 points over. Like, I'm going to start knocking points. You knock a few on art history. Like, I got to keep a little art history. You knock all your points out of sculpting, all your points out of drawing, right? You're taking these things that the artist skill would have already given you. It would have given you the art history. It would have given you the painting. It would have given you the drawing. It would have given you the sculpting. But you say, I want them at right different points. But let's say you come up and end up with no drawing ability at all. Paint, and the skill painting says what painting does. The skill drawing says what drawing does. It does not say you get both for the price of painting. So you now end up in a position where you have a base stat, perhaps, maybe not even that, depending on what your game is. But let's say you do. And let's say somebody else in the group has a higher stat in that area than you do. That means when the game master brings the whole art deal together and doesn't really recall, it's like, oh, this is one deal where you have to sketch out. Like, oh, I don't have any paints, man. Well, what do you mean you don't have any paints? Just draw it. Oh no, don't do that. I can't take this pen to do nothing. Well, just you draw something. Here's a stick figure. You have that. So you're, and that can kind of mess your immersion up, right? So it's a problem. Now, flip-flop over onto the broad, you go, oh, well, you can do all these things. That's kind of messing my immersion up. My character can't sculpt. Okay. So there can be problems either way. But with a tight style, you can. Another problem is it can take forever to do that, and that is a huge turnoff to almost every single new player you will bring into the hobby, or someone you're trying to say, oh, let's play this game. Oh no, I don't want to learn that. No, I don't. I already know this system, and this system is already going to take less time than that one does. It takes forever to do this system. That system will take the rest of my lifetime to learn it and try to figure my choices out. No, sir. I don't want to do that. And bring in someone new to the hobby and go, okay, here's your skills. That's one part of your character. There's 482 of them. Go ahead and just read them all and learn. Oh, no. No, I'm gonna just dip. No, son. I need no part of this activity. It's going to be a turn off. You want to turn people, get them excited, get them pumped up. And I think the broad style is going to be, for almost a 100% down the line, new players are going to want their broad style. People coming in to the hobby are going to want their broad style, where you have maybe a choice of 45 skills all the way down. Another one that can be another thing that can be very interesting in games is a lot of games, they don't have their skills are not even. They're, some of them are tight as hell, and some of them are broad, and some of them are ridiculously broad. So it could come across and really make a degree of imbalance. And by imbalance, I don't mean from the power level, but from the actual playability. Yeah, that's a different kind of balance. It's like, well, I never use that skill. And unless the game master really creates clever ways to bring your weaving skill into the game, to bring your basket weaving skill into the game, right? That's the most lauded one often, basket weaving. It's like, well, how do I use basket weaving? Well, you're great at it. Oh, all right. But we just played 8 years, and I never made a basket weaving roll. Oh, I forgot you had that in your character sheet. Basket weaving, that's boring to me. I'm not trying to run games about you weaving baskets. So unless the Game Master really tries to bring that in, there's going to be few and far opportunities to really use that basket weaving. Yeah, you might get a little bit here and a little bit here, and it might be exciting because, you never thought you were going to get a damn thing out of it. So if you get anything, it's like watching a movie everyone tells you is horrible, and it was only bad. You're like, man, that movie was great. I expected it to be the worst thing I ever saw, and it was passably watchable. So with my negative expectation, it came to be something more in my mind. Now, for me, I don't see any need to have skills or any aspect of the game that's not going to be chosen. You watch this if you play any game enough with enough different people, you will see there are choices that are not often or even never made. And you see it coming back. Oh, nobody picked weaving this week. Nobody picked weaving this week for the character. You're looking at like a D&D 3.5 character, and it's never coming back. It's just profession. It is there. Weaver, seamstress, whatever you want to call it. It's there. How often does it get picked? Not very often. And we can go into all sorts of other games, and we can say, look at that White Wolf character. Who picked bureaucracy? That one, there's a reason they took it off the sheet in later edition. Oh, yeah, bureaucracy. That didn't work out too well, First of all, just lump it right into politics. It's easy enough to lump those types of skills together. You have skills that the real litmus test, like I said, is do people select that? If people select it, it's working. If people aren't selecting it, or if only one person ever selected it you've seen, okay, there's a problem. It needs to be revisited. Basically, for me, in my mind, skill needs to be broadened out. You put more stuff in it, more things that skill can do, put some validity to it, put some use to the skill. And in my game, I came up with ways that I think every single skill on the list is useful. I think every single skill on the list will be picked at a time. Is there a skill that's number 1 and a skill that's number 38? Yeah, probably, if you really crunch them down. However, is skill 38 going to get picked? Or is it just going to sit off there in the limbo of craft and profession? Generally, when I play games, a lot of types of skills like that, they just don't get picked. I pick them because I violently like to have my characters being different. I need my character to be different. I want them to be different, and I'm willing to take a hit on that. A lot of people aren't, though. And I get those sort of questions all the time. Like, man, I want to stay true, but man, I don't want to get jacked for it. Getting jacked isn't fun. Getting jacked is making me have less fun. Staying true would get me more fun, but everyone else is power gaming, and it's a very legitimate question. You don't want to have less fun. That sucks. Now, of course, my standard response is play with different people. Not everyone can do that. So, we're going to look at how could a system be devised, how our system is devised, and how could a system be devised best towards your standard, and breaking down, philosophizing, if you will, baby, today on these particular parts of the game. Now, combat can be a really big one on this. You can have games where you can use every weapon. Boom, you have melee. Like, look at White Wolf. Here you go, just take melee. You can use everything from a club to, hitting somebody over the head with a chair. It's all melee, man. It's just all melee. And the sword, the knife, whatever it is. So, when you have something like that, and combat is often done in the game system. How important is it? If combat is really, really important, often it's not a skill. No Dungeons and Dragons game has ever made combat a skill. Combat is a skill. Make no mistake about that. But it's not put together as a skill. Now, let's talk about player determined versus system determined. Now, 4th edition is a great example of system determined. You have skills. You pick your skills. As you go up, those skills just all get better. Like, you just max ranks all of them. Because I guess they looked and said, hey, look, all these min-maxers, who were the vocal ones that we heard about the game, that say when this and that, they want to not even be bothered. They just want to get their min-max on. System done, boom, min-max, power gamed for you. You have your maximum ranks. Don't worry about it. You don't have skills that you're not that good at. Now, that knocks away so much character and so much flavor choice that it's not a decision that I will use in any way, shape, or form at any point. Now, every edition of D&D does that for weapons. Every single one of them. Whether they have base attack bonus or THAC0. Let's take a look at this. You have, you say, look at your AD&D, and you pick your hand axe. You go, I can use my hand axe, I'll take a penalty with other weapons. You would. Well, let's break that penalty down. Let's say you're 20th level. Penalty is what, a -4? I think it's -4 flush across D&D. Maybe someone will say, oh, it's a -5 in 18th edition or something, 0.5. But I think it's pretty much a flush -4 down the line. With some examples, some exceptions, well, if I had a hand axe, I only got a -2 with a battle axe on AD&D 2nd edition, something like that. I get rules like that. But overall, you still have that BAB or THAC0 to fall back on. So you're just taking a -4 against it. Let's say you look at a BAB, and THAC0 works the same way, just in reverse. You are 20th level fighter, you have a +20 base attack bonus. With that weapon, like a whip, you don't know how to use it all, you still have 16. It's like you had 16 ranks of a skill in whip. You don't have 20 like you have with a hand axe, but you've got 16. That's a lot better than you're doing with your fishing skill that's still sitting at 0. You don't know how to fish at all, but you know how to whip right off the bat. So it's a system determined. You did not get to make that choice outside of being able to buy different classes and so forth. But eventually, the game makes that choice for you. You will be better at fighting. You will be better at fighting. Yes, you can say, well, if I buy 1 level of Enchanter, 1 level of Necromancer, 1 level of Conjurer, 1 level of Rogue, 1 level of Cleric, 1 level of Druid, and you make this kind of character, then yeah, I guess technically you could end up not ever getting better at weapons. But for the most part, let's look at any kind of realistic character. The system naturally makes it so you're running two different deals. You have, like, the 3.5 is a system that is graded, so it gives you player determination on your skill points, which is awesome. It system determines your base attack bonus. Now, 4th edition system determines both of them for you. Now, White Wolf, for example, player determines everything. Like, here you go. You don't even have to buy skills. You can say, I'm just going to use all my points for disciplines, for stats, for humanity, for virtues. I will never, ever increase my skills again. You don't have to. They can just sit there. So it's completely player controlled. So it gives you different ideas there. There are some that give some amount of system determination. You get 8 skill points per level. But you get to put them where you want. You get to hit up against caps. So it has some smidgen of system determining in there, but a lot of player determining as well. I like player determining. I think, the slightest amount of system determining can be good, can help guide people towards actually having to increase their skills every once in a while. I think that makes sense. And I think it also is a much easier route to go when developing a game, to compartmentalize different aspects instead of just putting everything across the board, because you can run into some serious balance issues there when you don't want a game that's completely broken because of, I made this one mistake and now, damn, everyone's character looks the same. Everybody has max strength, when you can sort of lean away from that. So, overall, my thoughts are broad system. It specializes in and of itself. that covers both combat and every other aspect, that covers it in as few skills as possible, but in still enough where you have to make choices, where they matter, where they're respected, where that means something, where your character is going to have the ability to choose between whether he can weave or he can work metal, whether he can fight with spears or with swords, what exactly that character is able to do. And I find that works well because you've given the character right off the bat a basket. They can do some things, but they can't do everything. They're not just like, well, I can do everything, like a secondary skill. It's like, well, you can do this, and then they just push that to the complete max. I think there needs to be some ability to define some limitations, but with some leeway. Not all the leeway in there, but some leeway. And I think there's some very interesting ways that you can actually package certain other things into a skill like cloth working, into a skill like leather working, into a skill like farming, to actually bring them to have more ability without stretching the skill to the point where it's no longer that. We're like, well, it's not really that anymore. We're like, oh yeah, I can actually kind of buy that. I can get into that. I can believe it, and it's still the same deal. So for me, that was my idea, my thoughts, and how to create a system that really catered to what I wanted to express through mechanics to help engender the high style of gaming that I want to see, that I want to perform, that I want to show others, through the way that I play, that is largely different from at least the majority of games that are out there, with choices abroad that aren't going to take forever. It's not going to take forever. I want people taking a long time to make their character, but I don't want them taking all day to fill out a character sheet. I want you to think about the psychology. I want you thinking about the emotions, the passions, the reasons. Why do I, as a game master, care about this character? Why wouldn't I just, off you like that? Why are you a star as opposed to an extra? People make extras all the time, and part of the reason is they look too much and they're fiddling with all these things, and I got to get this feat and that feat. Well, yeah, but what about your character, man? What about the soul of your character? I want to hear about that, not just about these other aspects. So I think a system that I don't think you need to be able to knock it out in 13 seconds, but if you can make it fairly easy, fairly straightforward, in a way that people can read it once and then at least pretty much understand it, where they're not like, I have no idea what I just read, I have no idea what to do. And I've seen people, I tell you this, my viewers, I've seen people many times look at that, get disgusted, get discouraged, and I can see they kind of start getting cold feet, like, I don't want to invest that much work. When it's easier from a math standpoint, or it's easier from just writing out everything standpoint, you have more mental energy, you have more there, and that's what I think everyone should be putting their energy into, not trying to find all the optimizations. And the more system bits you have, the more ability there's for optimization. So, when you push that aside and you have less that the players are going to be forced to interact with, or going to have to interact with, then they're going to be able to really bring out a style of role-playing, because regardless of where their role-playing level is, they can think more about putting the character together than putting the character together. I think that overall works real well. Let me know what you guys think about systems, about skills, about how they affect and impact your play, what you like, what you don't like, and what you'd like to see.